Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes. Get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. It's recording again. Everybody, Anita is dying.
Because I was trying to be dumb. I wasn't trying to be dumb. I was trying to be
She was
cool.
trying to be cool, but she ended up being dumb.
Yeah, I'm fine though. Hey Mel.
Yes, Anita?
Sorry your husband died.
Sorry yours died.
I came up with a new term.
What?
For what we're going through.
What?
It's a suck sandwich.
It is.
We're eating a suck sandwich.
I'm not. I'm on
Keto bread. You're eating it a lettuce wrap suck sandwich.
Hey, you know Kirsten that grew up in your neighborhood?
Uh-huh.
She's going to make us treats.
Yes.
Kirsten,
where are our treats?
I asked Anita if she had cheese so that when I came over here, I could eat cheese.
And do you know what? I'm so mad at Mel now. I went to look in my cheese drawer in the refrigerator, and guess what I found? A whole lot of moldy cheese. And I would have liked to have lived in ignorance for a little bit longer.
You're welcome. Now you know you have moldy cheese and you need to get some more.
Yeah, I'll put it on the to-do list of like 1,000 things. We should go cheese shopping.
That's so fun.
I like a good cheese, but then I think I just like cheddar. I had a dream completely about cheese last night. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so my cousin Jason just got married, and I went to his wedding reception open house last night at his house, and they had a beautiful cheese board, charcuterie board, and I only ate like 1 or 2 pieces of cheese. And then last night I had a dream that I was still at the open house and I was just like gorging myself on the cheese, and everybody else had left and I was still there, and they were like trying to clean it up and put it in the fridge, and I just kept going and getting it out of the fridge, and I was like, you are so full and you just keep eating more and more cheese.
But cheese is so good.
What do you think that, like, what is
Did
my
you-
anxiety in that dream?
I think it was your cheese drawer
Maybe it was
telling
like
you.
a premonition that my cheese was moldy.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure that Scott was the one that helped send that dream to you.
Thanks, Scott.
Because Scott would always, at holidays and everything, he'd go to the store and he'd go to the cheesemonger, and
yeah.
he would get so much cheese. He'd spend over $300.
What? That's so much.
All
Cheese is
of the
expensive.
cheese. It is.
But it's yummy.
He had the most beautiful cheese platters of all the kinds of cheese.
Dang it. See, there's always so many times where you're mad that you didn't get to meet Jason. And I'm like mad that I didn't get to meet Scott.
You guys would have baked well together too.
And I would have made you a wolf cake.
Thank you.
Just kidding. I can't make cakes. But maybe I would have encouraged him.
Yeah.
I would have been like, come on, Scott. Make the cake.
Man, you guys
YOLO.
suck for dying.
I love the idea of lots of cheeses. But then sometimes I'm like, actually, I just like versions of cheddar.
That's me too.
And I'm like, actually,
And
I'm not that
sometimes
exciting.
smoked Gouda.
It
You don't like
depends on-
smoked Gouda, right?
It depends. They have some Gouda at Costco that's fake Gouda that I don't like.
I don't know what that is. How?
It's like not actually Gouda. It's like Gouda product. I'm doing air quotes.
So like imitation crab, but imitation Gouda.
Yeah, it like melts like too melty.
Oh, like
to,
Velveeta Gouda?
sort of. Yeah, I don't like that. I need it to be the real stuff. Do you like stinky cheese?
Nope.
No blue cheese.
No, but you know what? I'm trying
I like
to get
blue
over
cheese.
that
Yeah.
because so often we get fed salads like on gigs where we have the food that the clients eat,
blue
which
cheese.
is delicious
Roquefort.
for them. Yes.
Yeah.
And blue cheese is always in the salad. And just this year, I think I'm sort of acclimated to it after 15 years.
I think it's kind of weird to serve blue cheese at a wedding, though, too, because it is such a like controversial cheese. Is there such thing as a controversial cheese?
Why is it controversial?
Because like a lot of people don't like it.
But
Strongly dislike it too. It's
a lot
polarizing.
of people or a lot of people that don't drink wine don't like it because
I don't know.
wine and cheese go together. So if
I don't know.
that's-
I know a lot of people who strongly dislike blue cheese.
I hate it.
See?
But now I'm like less hating it.
Less hating it. Well,
Kirsten, we need cheddar, provolone.
I like a good English cheddar, a white cheddar, and aged cheddar.
string cheese.
I do like string cheese, actually.
The Laughing Cow, Baby Bell.
I don't like Baby Bells. They're too rubbery.
What about squeaky cheese?
Love squeaky cheese.
How could you like squeaky cheese but not like Baby
Baby
Bell?
Bell doesn't have the same texture.
But squeaky cheese squeaks.
I know. Rubbery for Baby Bell is the wrong terminology.
I can't eat squeaky cheese because I think every time I chew, it's gonna go.
That's the whole reason it's squeaky cheese.
Ew.
I get disappointed when I buy squeaky cheese and I eat it and it doesn't go. It makes me feel sad. Like I wasted my money on non-squeaking cheese.
Ooh,
Let's go buy some
I have
squeaky
shivers
cheese.
now. Okay.
Because of that noise? Are you orally sensitive?
Yes.
Oh. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do like noises bother you? Are you, what do they call that?
ASMR.
ASMR? I still don't really
I
understand
don't get it. I don't know.
that. Okay.
But my dad's been clearing his throat all day, and it
Like
bothers
I
me.
just did?
Yeah, but like all day.
That is annoying.
Yeah. Sorry, Dad. I don't think he's listening to this because I have to help him find the episodes.
Sometimes at night when my kids cough, I'm like, could you guys just not cough? And they're like, we're poor children and we have no control. And I'm like, just stop. I don't need to hear this.
They're like, I'm 7.
Yeah. And
What
I'm
is
like,
that?
I don't care. Take some freaking Robitussin and get it together. Just kidding. Not all the way kidding. Part way kidding.
You want to know something weird?
Yes, of course I do.
I sleep better now that Scott is dead.
Uh-huh.
That sounds really rude. I don't mean it to be rude.
Oh, you mean like altogether you sleep better?
Yes.
I thought there was going to be I sleep better with or without, but no.
Nope. I sleep better now that Scott is not alive. And I don't mean that to be rude, like I just said. But the reason why is because he snored so bad. And then that's why he had to get his tonsils out. And then he'd come to bed sometimes when he's like, I think I should lay in bed, but like I'm not going to sleep anyway. Mm-hmm. And I can pick up on his energy. And I'm like, your brain is spinning out of control. I can hear it.
Get out of my bed.
He's like, how can you hear it? I'm like, don't even.
Was there like clicks emanating? You know, like when your computer is old. Click, 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 click.
Yeah. Clicks in my soul.
You could hear the clicks.
I could feel them.
Sleep is a particularly sensitive issue for me. Even last night, I was feeling this way because my 3-year-old woke up at 2 a.m. and was ready to be awake. And I need sleep. And it's so lonely in the middle of the night. You feel like the world is caving in on you. Nobody is around to help you. You can't text anybody. You can't talk to anybody. You're all alone. You feel like your life is ending because all you want to do is sleep. And then to know that in the morning when all the kids wake up, guess what? You still have to take care of them, and there's nobody who's going to be there to help spell you or give you a chance to not be with them. I was so grumpy this morning. I was angry.
Jason, not cool.
And also, a 3-year-old, not cool. And he's going to do the same thing again
But if
tonight.
Jason were here, he could have helped you, right?
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Exactly. And even if it would have been like, okay, well, we just have to get through the morning, and then I'll be able to take a nap and he can take the kids. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can see a relief in sight, but there's no relief, no end in sight.
You didn't have anyone that can tag team you.
Yes, in the middle of the night. So,
Dude, that sucks so bad. I'm sorry.
It's like one of the times where I feel the most hopeless and the most angry about the situation, about the suck sandwich.
Can I tell you something?
Yes, please.
So I look at the analytics for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
And last week we had 14 listeners from India.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 14 total.
Oh, no. We have like 16 now. But
yes.
we have 14
14 of them
listeners.
are from India?
Or
though?
14 plays from India.
Okay.
So maybe that's 2 people from India that listen to all the
7.
episodes so far.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, friends from India,
Hi.
Anita needs a friend in the middle of her night, which is probably the middle of your day.
Oh.
So get on
But what
the
are they
Facebook
going to
page.
do for me? I need
I
them
don't
to
know.
come and yell at my children for me. Maybe I could...
FaceTime them. They could do
My kids
it.
would be like, what is going on? I'm like, there is this friendly Indian man on FaceTime and he is going to yell at you. Go to sleep.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yep. I have it all worked out for you.
Thanks. Oh, speaking of that,
Okay.
that totally led into our topic tonight.
Yes.
So,
All right. You're the boss. You're the moderator today.
Mel has been begging to talk about this.
I have. And Anita has been begging me to make an outline. And I
Yes.
did.
But when Mel said that she had fixed everything for me and figured out my life, today we're talking about dumb stuff people have said to us.
I'm so excited. This is my favorite thing ever.
We should back up a minute though. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're 2 young widows and we're trying to figure out
Widow we do now.
Okay, that was like 20 minutes into the episode, but
Who cares?
yeah, it's totally fine. We introduced ourselves. Okay, so tonight we're talking about dumb stuff people have said to us. We have to do a disclaimer again that says, if you said this, please don't be offended. Because, again, by and large, when people say things, they're trying to show that they care and they're trying to connect in a way. They're trying to make it personal for them. So almost never are they trying to be jerk faces.
Correct.
So
But it's still funny.
it is
And also sometimes
funny.
sad. We'll see. We'll see what happens in how this episode goes.
So we're going to do some little bit of back and forth. I'm going to tell you something, or I'm going to ask you to tell me something somebody has said. And then you're going to tell me, no, wait.
Wait, we're going to call this Terrible Tales Tennis. 0 serving 0.
Say, isn't it love serving love?
Yeah, love or 0.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Do you play tennis?
I do.
So you can say 0-0?
Yeah.
Oh, fine. Okay. I like love serving love better because that's nonsensical.
Fine,
Who made that up in tennis?
I don't know. It's super weird.
It's very bizarre.
Love, love.
Okay. You go first because your husband died first.
Okay. This is one of my very favorite stories of terrible stories.
I'm so excited. You've been waiting for so long.
I have, because this is like, what? So anybody that knows my story knows that my uncle died the same week as Scott. So his funeral was the day before Scott's funeral. I was at my uncle's funeral and some old family friends came up to me. Everyone's kind of saying, hey, sorry about your uncle, but also more sorry about, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
He was 39. I was in a fog. I was kind of in a pajama dress. You're in a fog, a grief fog that's kind of insulated. At least I was at the time. So I'm like, I'm just going to make it through this day. It's going to be fine. And then I'm going to collapse. But after my uncle's funeral, I had to go over to the mortuary to dress Scott.
Yeah.
So I think I had seen Scott one time, like seen his body. And then this will be the second time before we would see him at the funeral. So I'm at my uncle's funeral and someone comes up to me. They were a couple, and one person said, "We are so sorry that Scott died, but don't worry, you're young. You won't be single for long." Bing, 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 bing. And then the other person was looking at me with like the biggest smile, and I'm like, okay,
Like what kind of smile?
Like they were so happy.
Okay.
And I
wasn't sure if it was like a smile, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said
like
that.
Like the Joker. Oh no, they were on the same
board.
page. Yeah. And so they gave me a hug, and I just remember thinking, you're so lucky that I'm in this fog right now, and then it's me you told this to that totally gets that you don't get what you're saying, because if this were someone else, they would freak out. So that's my first story.
Okay. I will say that not in the exact same scenario, but I have had people say to me, you're young, you'll be able to get remarried. So
let's just stop with that altogether. Nobody ever say that to anybody.
Yeah, that one's
ever.
A little bit tricky because it makes it feel like, oh, your balloon popped. Just go get a new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but don't do that.
Yeah. People are going to be so scared when we're done with this. They're going to be like, I can't talk to people in grief because I'll say something stupid.
I know, but you can though. Like, use common sense. Basically, if you're worried that you're going to say something weird to someone, you're probably going to be fine. If you're the type of person that doesn't think about it, then you need to worry. It's like narcissist. If you're worried that you're a narcissist, you're definitely not a narcissist. But if you never think about it, you are.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's love serving
5 or 15.
What?
I don't know why either.
I didn't know you could do two different ones.
5 and 15 are the same thing.
So complicated. Okay. Yeah. So one of my favorite things that people say, not favorite, is when people will make a comparison between my situation and their situation. And my tippy top favorite have been people who have said, I know what you're going through. I'm a single parent sometimes when my husband travels for work. Or I'm a single parent because I'm divorced. And I'm like, kind of get a little bit of a twitch going because I'm like, yeah, that is rough when they're at work in a different state and you can FaceTime them at night and daddy can read them a story.
And nobody has to go to grief counseling because they're dead.
Yes. And here's the thing. I know that it's super hard for people when their husbands travel because being a parent is just hard. So it is hard for them. But I'm like, nope.
But just don't say, I know what you're going through, because that's not the same. So now we are tied at 5 all or 15 all.
Depending on if you're using the metric or standard tennis scoring system.
Anita and I both have the same answer for this. So we definitely are tied.
Yeah.
We don't like it when people say,
God needed him. Or something along those
Or,
lines.
oh, well, it's
he
logical.
was needed on the other side.
Yes, he's needed on the other side. He's doing this work and doing that work. And I'm like, that just supports the idea that I feel or felt at the beginning of when Scott died, that I wasn't that important for him to
Stick
stay
around for.
Yeah. Like he had a
Solidifies.
choice, but
That's the word you were looking for.
solidifies. Yes.
Okay.
What do you think?
I just think it's presumptuous that we have any idea of what's going on after people die.
Yeah.
And also, when people talk about them being needed, I'm like, why are they more needed there than here with my 4 kids? Because we have a very family-centric belief system. And so I'm like, if his family is the most important thing, then why in the world would it make any sense that he had to leave his family? 0 sense.
0 cents.
I think we just don't understand what's going on after people die.
I feel like there's so much once we die, like our human brains can't even fathom any of it right now. So people just say what they say and think what they think and believe what they believe. And
you
and
just
all
get
I know,
to sit and smile and be like,
yep.
Oh yeah, he was a really good person because he was needed.
We're in a very fallible world where everything
Yeah.
decays and there are chances for death and chances for disease and chances for
Yeah.
accidents and chances for...
And it's not because you were super strong or because I'm super strong and I can handle it.
It just is what it is.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's that we live in big bodies of goo, and sometimes the goo gets
Dies.
screwed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now we are at 30 all or deuce.
Deuce. Yes. Okay. Here's another one that I love to hear. I know how you feel because I lost my mom last year, or I lost my dad last year, or something similar. Losing your parent is awful, tragic. I haven't had to do it. Jason's mom died. But parents are supposed to die before their kids die. And parents, anybody who's my age or older, their parents are like in their 60s or 70s. And while that's not old, and it still can be tragic, it's not the same thing. I don't even know if it was my turn to go or if it was your turn to go.
It was yours.
Okay, good, because I went.
I
Have you
agree
had
with
people
that.
say that to you?
I did. Yeah, I try to... When I talk to somebody that's been through something difficult and I've been through something similarly, like, for example, abuse or something like that. I have not been physically abused, but I've been emotionally abused. And so I try to be careful to not say, I know how you feel because da-da-da. It's like,
Yeah.
I try to say something like, I understand a portion of what you feel.
Right.
That way, it's like there are elements that are similar, you know. Of course, there's a loss. Of course, there's all this stuff. But it's not overshadowing what they went through and who, you know. So, yeah, I would suggest not equating a spouse death with a parent death. Even if a parent death is hard, of course it's hard. It's like you grew up with your parent.
Yeah.
Like you knew them your whole entire life. So there is a significant loss. I've had an experience with that right after Scott died, and I was in a zone of like I just needed to talk about stuff out loud and process it and like tell the story and this
Over
and
and
that.
over and over.
Over and over,
Yeah.
right? And then someone came over and like talked about something like that and like hijacked my conversation, and I looked at my mom and I'm like, I gotta go. I can't
listen to them.
Yeah, it was too hard.
I also think it's different to lose a parent as a child. Like my kids losing their parent when they were 5 years old is different than losing your parent when you're 40 years old or even 20 years old. I don't know. I guess it does have elements that are very similar. And so it's okay when people say it was really hard to lose my parent, but when people directly compare it's okay. Yeah. I know that people are just trying to connect. That's what we're like programmed to do, is to connect with people, to say, I connect with you because I've had a similar experience, and not very many people have had the same experience. And even we've had very similar experiences, but have still had vastly different experiences.
You mean you and I?
Yes, you and I.
People just want to have their Venn diagrams line up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are at, well, if I'm counting score, it's add out.
What in the world?
That means that you have the advantage.
And why is it out?
Because you're out.
Okay.
And I'm in. If I had the advantage, I'd say add in.
Tennis is nonsensical. More nonsensical than I even knew.
So add out. If I'm serving, add out because you're ahead of me.
Okay, so it's your turn though.
Now, this one is probably only specific to me. So after Scott died, I decided that I was going to dye my hair whatever color I wanted, whenever I wanted, because I figured I had about a year grace period to be crazy. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's been 2 years and it's not ended. I had my hair, it was like every color at some point. So somebody asked me, so Mel, now that your husband's dead and you have rainbow hair, are you a lesbian?
Gosh, this one just blows my mind.
I don't understand what that has to do with my preference.
Switch flipped.
Yes. Yeah. So that happened. Pretty sure nobody has said that to you.
No.
But it's weird. I think because I'm a musician, so people don't understand that in this community. Like, of course, like the people that I am the most like non-judged with are the gay community and my black friends. I'm like, this is so funny that I fit in the most with those guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm neither.
Right.
But some people, I think they're just like, oh, if you're different and you have funny hair and
Ergo,
you have friends that are
presto
girls.
changeo.
Yeah, I've had like 3 or 4 people think that I'm a lesbian just because of an assumption. Not because I was ever touching anybody.
Well, that...
Never. Okay.
I'm pumped
now
up.
it's Deuce again.
How do you feel, Mel, when people say you're so strong?
For me, I don't actually care.
You don't mind that?
But, yeah. Because I've been hearing that since I was divorced.
Oh, okay.
So it's like old news. But I know that most everybody else besides me hates it. So why don't you tell us?
So this is funny because I don't hate it either. I know it is a sensitive word for a lot of people. I do get irritated when people tell me how I'm doing who don't really have a sense of how I'm really doing.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like
So
when people say, oh, I saw your smiling happy face on Facebook. I'm so glad to see that you're doing well. And I want to say, what? You mean that little millisecond of a shot means that I'm doing well just because I'm smiling? Like, let me tell you, I can put on a whole 90-minute show and you will never know.
It's
that I am
lies.
crushed inside. I know how to be in public.
So I've heard several people, and a big complaint about the word strong, is that it is not a word that is perceived as somebody having control over. You're either strong or you aren't strong. And so if you don't feel strong, then you feel like you're failing at that. So instead of using the word strong, use a word that somebody does have control over. Does that make any sense?
Not really. Can you give us a replacement word?
So instead of using the word strong, you could say something like, I can see that you are trying so hard. Because trying...
I would get more upset about that.
Dang it. Okay.
See, I don't know.
It might not be.
Because then I'm like,
example.
you
don't
that
know.
sounds like I'm sucking. I see you're trying, but like you can't, you're not quite making it.
Okay. We might not be able to even talk about this one because it's sort of like ethereal.
Our brains are not working because it's nighttime. Does anybody want to babysit and as kids in the day when we're both better with our brains?
Oh my gosh. The problem is
Kirsten.
that like, we're going to just pass for a minute and we're going to see if I can think about this a little bit better. But just know that for a lot of people, telling them that they're strong is weird. Okay.
But I don't care.
But you don't care. Somebody explained it last night that they were saying, well, you don't really have a choice in whether you're strong or not. Like, you just have to do it. So you're not being brave. You're not being strong because you don't really have a choice in the matter. This is what you've been dealt. This is what you've been dealt, and you just have to do it. It's not something you get to choose or not. So maybe, I don't know. That one was weird.
Sorry that I ruined it.
It's okay because I needed to think through that one better in the first place.
Now, I don't know what we're at now because did we pass on that one? Maybe it's add in. It's my turn. Advantage in to me.
Okay.
One thing that I do not enjoy people saying to me, and this has happened, is you're still young. You can have kids. I talked about this, I think, last episode. Just don't say that to anyone ever. Yeah, I don't appreciate anybody in my business about kids.
This is true before people die.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about all the people that are married and people ask them, when are you going to have a baby? Everybody gets offended.
Yeah.
And they're married. They don't have a dead husband. So why would you go up to somebody that doesn't have a husband and start talking about kids? My brain is in, okay, I just buried Scott. What's happening? My brain was so broken. I couldn't think even 10 minutes ahead of where I was. So it's like, I know that people want to feel better. Like, oh, the answer to everybody's sadness is for Mel to find somebody else.
Get a new balloon.
Get a new balloon. And that is not true. Listen, I have been single for a long time, and I have been in so many relationships where they were bad and where I'm like, I'm alone. And I got really strong and confident on my own. So I'm actually okay.
But she has me to be
But now I have a person named Anita.
In a cheese relationship.
I'm in a cheese relationship.
Uh-huh.
I'm a non-lesbian that gets asked if she's a lesbian. And I have a widow wife.
Your relationship status on Facebook has got to be complicated.
Very complicated.
That's very
well,
complicated.
because I can't put in a relationship with cheese. I would.
Yeah.
I did in the summer. Did you see it?
No. Really?
Yeah. I was in Indiana. Like,
oh, yeah. Yes. You said it was your new, this is my boyfriend or something like that.
One true love.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway.
Although, is cheese male or female?
It doesn't matter. It's 2019.
Okay. Doesn't. It's gender neutral.
Yeah. Or gender fluid.
Gender fluid. Non-gender.
Non-binary.
Non-conforming.
Yeah.
Cheese can wear dresses.
I accept everyone. I love everyone. I love all cheeses except blue cheese. Sorry. I'm cheesist.
That kind of sounds like you're saying Jesus. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't appreciate when people talk to me about my ovaries.
Yeah. Leave her uterus out of this.
Leave it out of this. I'm 37. I'm working on getting out of bed every day and not wanting to die.
This is going to be embarrassing to my family members, but Jason and I got married and we waited for about 6 years to have kids. We were married for 7 years before we actually had our first child. So we got a lot of, when are you going to have kids? And my dad was one of the worst. He was like, when are you guys going to have kids? Like every time we'd go over there, not every time, but quite often. And so one day, and I'm still I'm feeling embarrassed just even saying this, but it is really funny. He said something to Jason, and Jason looked at him and said, Randy, we're not quite sure we're doing it right. Do you want to come show us?
Oh,
he never said anything else about it again. And I was like, oh, you just said that to my dad.
That's awesome.
Can I hide under a rock for the next 22 years? Mom, if you're listening, don't let Dad listen to that.
Don't Skype it to him.
Don't Skype it to Dad. Yeah. Funny. But that just is like the same thing. Even if people are not dead, it's not really anybody's business.
Leave everybody's reproductive choices out of it all the time. No matter what.
What's the score?
Now we're back to deuce.
How many do you have to win by?
2. So it goes back and forth like deuce.
We're neither of us is ever going to win in this.
Unless someone has 2 questions or 2 answers.
Oh.
And that may be you because you're organized and I am not.
Yes. Okay. Anybody who ever says a statement that starts with at least is no good. Because it is, what is the right word?
Rude.
That was not the word I was going to say, though.
Cheesist.
No. My brain. It's unvalidating. Is that a word? It's not a word.
Invalidating.
It's invalidating of your feelings. It might be true. There are a lot of times that I say at least this. Like, I'll give you a for instance. At least you were married for 20 years. At least he didn't suffer.
Or at least you were only married 2 years.
Yes. At least you have kids. At least you don't have kids. At least there's a lot of different at leasts. And some of them are true. But I feel like that is the role of the griever.
Yes.
To choose what at least they're going to hang on to, and you shouldn't try to give people at least.
It's kind of like, you know how you can make fun of your sister all day long, but then as soon as someone else makes fun of your sister, you're going to cut them.
You're like going to gouge their eyeballs
it's like
out.
That.
Yeah.
My therapist says empathy cannot live in a place where a statement begins with at least.
We should cross stitch that.
I remember for me, I was trying to process stuff so hard that's what I would come up with in my own mind. I'm like, well, at least I am not a burn victim and have my legs cut off. At least I have a job. I would come up with the at least for myself.
Yeah. And I think that's
which you
awesome
should.
And healthy and normal.
But when someone outside of me, only me, I'm the only person that can do that. But if somebody else comes to me and they're like, Mel, at least blah, blah, blah. It's
yes.
like, game's over.
Punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Don't say at least. Yep. People aren't going to want to talk to people who've just suffered loss after this.
Maybe they shouldn't. Just send them money. And cheese.
And cheese. But not blue cheese because it's polarizing.
I would love some more unicorn onesies if anyone wants to send them to me.
The fact that more was in that sentence is funny. If I was saying that sentence, I would say, I would like somebody to send me the first. I have no other unicorn onesies. Okay, Mel, it's your turn. Wait, what's the score? It's advantage me. But is it advantage out or in?
If you say it, it's add in. If I say it, it's add out.
Okay.
It depends on who's serving. So
I have lost track of who's serving because this is a fake tennis game, so it's very confusing.
This actually doesn't have to do with spousal death, just with death. So one of my doctors, my migraine doctor actually, his daughter committed suicide because of her migraines. They were so bad, and that is in turn why he dedicated his practice and his life to helping migraine sufferers.
Wow.
She was 17.
Holy cow.
I know. She was a great athlete, high school athlete, and took her life in her own hands. And I would be going to my appointments for my migraines, and when he asked, "How are you doing?" I knew that what he meant, you know, because some people just are like, "How you doing?" And he's like,
some people it's a greeting.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And I knew that when he asked that it meant he's been there. And Scott was also his patient too. So one day I asked him, I'm like, well, how do you deal with the mean stuff that people say or the insensitive stuff that people say? Because I had just had something that weekend, I think, that really kind of sent me in a spiral. The thing for me always that is hard, that puts me back a bunch of steps, is when people talk to me about dating or getting married again. Or they're like, oh, yeah, Scott, I knew him. Well, you'll find someone else. Like, that's always the number one thing. And so I had, if I was not in a good mental state and then that happened, I couldn't handle it psychologically. So I was asking him, like, well, how did you deal with your grief? I go, here's what's happening with me. And if I were okay emotionally, like, I could handle it better, but I'm not. And he's like, you know, when my daughter died, it was really interesting to see how people responded. Like, people in our neighborhood would walk their dogs across the street from us that used to be our friends, or people that we used to hang out with would not talk to us anymore. Or people would come up and say, hey, your daughter committed suicide, so you know she's not going to go to heaven.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
So things like that. And so he said, he's like, we lived through the gamut of insensitive things. It was really hard. And he said, one day my other daughter came home from work and we were eating dinner, and she just said, you know what we should do? Let's just make a game of who had the worst thing said to them today. And they turned it into a game and actually made it pretty funny, and that's how they coped with it. So I loved that idea. I would like to make what not to say bingo.
Or like Monopoly.
Something.
Of what not to say.
I guess so, yeah.
It would need to be tennis themed though after this
Does it?
podcast. Which is going to make it very difficult.
Does that?
You don't have to. That was just Mel's giving me a look that made me like
I think
shut
Anita's
down
just
that
like
idea.
diverted my thought 2 times more than it needed to go, and my brain broke.
I heard a clank.
Yeah.
And then she just fell over.
I'm done. That was my answer or my question or my topic.
I'm just going to say that for the most part, I am not easily offended. I appreciate anybody who reaches out. And even though I might roll my eyes internally a little bit if you tell me about my new husband or about how you totally know what I'm going through, I still appreciate people and them even caring about the suck sandwich that I'm eating. But there has been one person who made me legitimately angry, and that was...
Dun, dun, dun.
It was my grandma.
Merle.
Merle's 98, and she lives with my parents now. And pretty soon after Jason died, it was probably maybe a week or two, I went over to their house and I went down to visit my grandma. And I was sitting down there in the basement, and she said, Anita, you know this has happened before in our family. And I was like, it has? I was kind of like, I need to know the story. I can't believe I didn't know that this had happened to somebody. And I was kind of thinking of like an ancestor. And she said, well, yeah, your uncle Jim died. And I was like, are you kidding me? I said, Grandma, Uncle Jim was 72 years old. And she was like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't nearly that old. And I was like, yep, he really was that old. And she said, well, it was very sudden. And I was like, he was not the picture of health. And I just could not even deal with that. I said, Grandma, his youngest son is like 40 years old right now. That's so much different than my 3-year-old, my 5-year-old, my 8-year-old, and my 12-year-old losing their dad. And I left and I was livid. And I'm not trying to say that when my Uncle Jim died, that wasn't sad. It was sad. But I'm like, this is a whole different suck sandwich. And I was so mad about that.
Is she aware of what she's saying? Like, what's her mental state like?
Yeah, and maybe it's going to make me sound like a bad person because she thinks she has it all together, but she doesn't. So she was probably pretty sure that she knew what had happened. But just the fact that she was so definitive about it, you know, like, let me tell you about how this has already happened.
Yeah.
You know, and probably she had things a little bit mixed up. But she also thinks she's very on point. And so it's hard when somebody's thinks they're very on point and they're not maybe all the way put together. Anyway, but it was very soon after he died, and it was the only time that I have felt like actual anger. But I have another one. Do you have another one?
I don't. Oh my gosh, Anita might win this match.
I'm going to win the match.
Wait, this game. It's game, set, match.
Game, set, match. Okay. This one happened very recently.
Let's hear it.
Okay. And again, please don't be offended if you were a part of this story. But today I was at a family event and I didn't even hear the first of the conversation. But somebody said, I hope 2020 is better than 2019 because we thought 2019 was going to be better than 2018 and look how it turned out. And somebody said, why? What was so wrong with 2019? And I was like, I'm like, oh, you know, just a few minor changes happened.
Did you say that?
No.
Did anybody?
Somebody else did. They were like, well, Jason died and his family is a little bit affected. So that was a little bit, that just hurt a little bit. That wasn't a like what not to say. That was just a little bit like, I rate highly if you weren't able to figure that one out without really thinking about it.
Well, Anita, I think that you have won.
I have won. I thought you were going to win, Mel. I really did.
Really?
Yeah, because you wanted to do this episode so bad. I thought you would have like things coming out of your ears.
Well, when I first was writing my topics down, I realized they were all the same.
Yeah.
It was all about people just saying, you'll find someone else. You'll find someone else.
You can have kids later.
You can have kids later. Oh, you're wearing your wedding ring. Does that mean that you've dated and gotten engaged and gotten remarried? And I said, it's been 6 months and my brain is still basically like November 10th, 2017.
Here's a question. Are you open to getting married again?
Right now? Hell no.
Heck to the no. Okay.
No. I'm tired.
We actually had a listener ask that question.
I'm very tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very upset.
No. Do you feel like you'll always feel that way?
I know enough about life to know that you should never say never.
Yeah. Okay.
I also know that I don't have to be open to it right now. And I have other things to do right now. I actually have a picture I'm going to put up on the Instagram and the Facebook that shows my reaction to when people ask me if I want to get remarried or if I want to go on a date or if I'm engaged or if I've thought about it, or that give me a weird look when I say, no, I'm not ready.
So we're part of an online group of widows and widowers, young ones. And I find it so interesting to watch the dynamic and read about people and their feelings about getting married and how some people are in, it seems from the outside like a huge rush. And then some people are like anti and some people are just like whatevs. So I would say that I'm in the category more of I have zero plans, but I'm never saying never either. But right now I cannot imagine it.
I just barely found Scott and got married after all that. So it's not on my radar for a long time. So please, nobody talk to me about it. I will talk to you.
Are you offended that I asked you?
No, because you can ask me whatever you want.
Okay.
You're my widow wife.
I know, but... And no. I also feel like sometimes you can only ask questions if you have some... What's the word? Street cred. Because you know the situation. Because you're in the same situation.
It's a very high trigger point for me. Actual trigger, like actual PTSD, or it'll send me into a funk.
Yeah,
that is months. I think the longest one was like 3 months.
And is it just if they ask you if you're open to it, or is it more if they're like, "Do you want me to set you up?"
I'm trying to think.
Either one is.
It could be anything. I'm a little foggy on that right now. It could be anything from. Just the general feeling that I get from them that why have I not moved on, or that is the answer to moving forward. I don't think it is. I'm like, it's more important for me to get emotionally healthy and physically healthy than it is to go check off another checklist. Like, nope, it's my decision now.
It's so
done with the checklist. So I have lots of things to say about that, which I'll stop now.
I also have seen a couple people where they have like sworn up and down that they had no interest in getting married. And then like 3 days later, they're like, I'm engaged.
Whoa.
Okay, not 3 days later, but in a time frame that's a little bit surprising.
I think you never know what's going to happen. That's why you can never say never, because if it is the right situation, I feel like everything changes for you.
Right.
And you'll be open to it. I was like that with Scott, with me. I was like, I'm done. I'm moving. And then there was Scott, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it. So I'm never going to say never. However, right now, I don't.
There's not, it's not an open thing for
in
you
my
right
mind,
now.
I'm still married to Scott.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
I have no interest. And I don't have energy to deal with another person's crap.
Here's
oh my
what
gosh.
I just don't even get is how in the world you could date somebody and be like, hey, you want to date me? I'm still in love with this other guy. Like, wouldn't that be crazy?
Well, and that's another thing on those online groups that we're on where people talk about that, where they say people think that when you get remarried after a spouse death that it fixes everything. And let me tell you, it can complicate the heck out of things.
Yeah.
And of course, obviously, Anita and I don't know about this because we're not remarried, but they talk about loving two people just as much. And does that mean that they have to choose between the love for those people or blending families where you have the kid? Yeah.
That
like,
makes
imagine
me want to throw up, actually.
To me, it just sounds like so complicated.
Yeah. Not
I'm
worth
having
it.
fun hanging out with my dogs.
Yeah. I'm not having fun hanging out with your dogs.
So remarriage is you don't love my dogs. So
No,
remarriage,
I was going to say my kids, but then I decided I better not say that out loud.
So yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel like you did a great job at that tennis game.
That was fun.
Good job winning.
By the way, we didn't talk about two very important things.
Me being back from Mexico.
Yeah, Mel just got back from Mexico, where she spent
5 days.
Okay, and what happened while you were there?
I did nothing.
No, but what day was it while you were there?
Oh, yeah. It was Scott's death anniversary, his second death anniversary, and I did absolutely nothing. It was
Mexico?
the best time ever. I laid...
Did you see any lizards?
Yeah,
Okay.
one.
Just one?
I got a lizard bracelet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we stayed at an all-inclusive resort.
Mm-hmm. Was it sandals?
No.
Oh,
so I
that's the
didn't
only
have
one
to
I know.
move anywhere. I would wake up, have room service, lay around, go to the pool or the beach, eat food, go back to bed. It was amazing. And I feel like I came over the crest of the grief mountain climb.
Mm-hmm. Leading up to the death anniversary.
Leading up to Scott's death anniversary on November 6th. I feel like November 4th or 5th, I was on the downhill. And it was so great. And I kind of knew that would happen because it happened last year where it's this anticipation and then it's a big release. So I also had a really stressful weekend before I left to Mexico because my friend was in town from New York. That's a crazy, amazing jazz singer. And we did a duo show. And so there was a lot to prep and stuff. So I think I was just worried that my brain wasn't going to work.
And there was like a high pressure.
Very high pressure for me, like high stakes. And then it went well. It ended. I went to Mexico. All the death anniversary stuff happened. And I am happy to say that the last 2 days I've woken up not feeling like there's an elephant on my chest.
Yay!
I'm so happy about it. I don't know how long it will last, but I can tell that I'm over that. And one thing that I feel is what I noticed between this year and last year is that as soon as the whole year comes and goes, I feel like it's just a chapter to close. And I'm like, okay, now I'm on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a really cool feeling. I'm curious to see how your first one goes in a few months.
Yeah, me too.
How are you feeling about it?
I haven't thought too terribly much about it because I feel like there's two huge boulders before that called Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I feel like those are kind of eclipsing the actual death anniversary. But I have thought a little bit about New Year's because Jason died on the 3rd of January. So a lot of like our last memories were like New Year's parties and things like that. So I thought a little bit about that and how that's going to feel. But then I try not to because I've just also realized that trying to predict, so far I've been pretty off in my predictions. So
you want to come to Vegas with me for my gig? My New Year's gig?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I hate Las Vegas. Okay, what's going on this week? We're going to get a spinal procedure.
Yep.
And it's early out for my kids all week. So I hate
are you
that.
Serious?
Yeah.
We have a movie night we have a movie night piano recital coming up.
What does
for
that
my
even
students
mean?
I just thought it would be fun for them to play along to silent movies, their own soundtrack. So
fun.
Yeah, there are all levels. My mom's students are doing it too. We're going to have it at a recording studio.
They've already like composed the music, or they're going to be doing it on the fly?
So some of them that are comfortable with composing have done that, but some of them that are not, like that are little kids maybe, they're just playing a movie song that they like, and then we put a video to it.
That's cute.
That we found. So I'm really excited for that. That'll be fun. And
I learned the Jurassic Park theme when I was like a teenager, and I played it over and over and over and over.
Do you want to play it on Friday?
Oh my gosh, if I could remember it, that would be awesome. But I don't think I can even remember it.
Well, if you guys want to come to the thing, you can.
Okay.
And then I go to New York.
When are you going to New York?
Sunday.
Maybe. I had something happen last weekend too that I forgot to tell you about. Well, you knew about it, but the pool that Jason like died at, they dedicated a swim lane to him over the weekend. So that was pretty cool.
That's so awesome.
They're going to put a plaque in there, and they like had a big swim meet, and they talked about him there, and lots of people came, and it was cool. So
that's so fun. And you had a barbecue, right?
yeah, they had like a fundraiser to pay for the memorial, and they're trying to raise money for a new set of swim blocks. So,
well, if anybody wants to give us a cheese platter or some treats or babysit Anita's kids so that we could do this in the day
so we can make more sense,
our brains explode.
Also,
let us
we're
know.
actively seeking a life insurance sponsor, because we're not even joking. You need to buy some life insurance. So if you want people to buy life insurance from you, let us know, because now we're up to 16 listeners.
Yeah.
And that could be 16 life insurance policies.
Yeah.
For you.
And maybe 16 widows saved.
16 widows saved from sadness. No,
Yeah.
not saved from
no,
sadness.
not saved from sadness. Saved from some of the stress.
Dire situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Anita, congrats.
Thank you. I would like a trophy,
I'll
or
get
at
you
least
one.
a like wedge of cheese for my winning story. And thanks for listening to our growing audience, even in India.
Please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Give us a rating too.
Yeah, but not like 1 star. Please give us 5 stars so that we feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, unless you don't want to, I guess.
And if you do think that this is 1-star content, then don't give us a rating.
Yeah, just stop listening.
Just
It's
stop
fine.
listening. Yeah, and it'll be
Help us keep our morale up.
Yeah, we need it. We're sad.
Yeah.
Poor widows.
Thanks for joining us.
As we try to figure out
What do we do now? This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it, and my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.